Is Bremerton better than Seattle? We're going to find out right now. What's up, everybody? It's Cassandra Lopez with the Living in Bremerton channel. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe and tap that little bell so you're notified every time I drop a new video. This channel is all about living in Bremerton, so if you're relocating for work or family or any other reason you want to get to the Pacific Northwest, hit subscribe, tap that little bell so you're notified. And be sure to reach out to me. This is my phone number and my email. You can contact me directly with any questions. Let me know how I can support your relocation to Bremerton. So is Bremerton really better than Seattle? I guess that depends on your subjective opinion of a big city versus a smaller community. But we're going to start with the biggest factor, which is the cost of living. Probably the most obvious thing is the housing. So right now in Bremerton, the median price point for a single family home is $418,000. In Seattle, the same house is going to sell for upwards of $870,000. So housing is over double than what it costs to live here in Bremerton. In addition to the housing, you have all of the luxuries that being in a large city affords you. So not only is your housing higher, your groceries are higher, your gas is higher. A lot of stuff that goes into your day-to-day, like your Starbucks coffee, is even going to be more over there than it is over here. But all of that is going to be offset by the wages in Seattle. So the average wage right now in Seattle is approaching $130,000 a year, whereas in Bremerton or Kitsap County, it's at about $72,000. So not much change over last year. But if you live in Bremerton or on the Kitsap County side, but commute to work in Seattle via the ferry or any other way you want to get there, you kind of get the best of both worlds because you have a higher salary and then you have a lower cost of living over here, and you get kind of away from the big city if you're not into the big city vibe. Which brings me to my next point, is Bremerton better than Seattle, is the commute. So if you live and work in Bremerton, you're going to be spoiled with your commute most of the time. We have very little traffic backups. The one predictable one, we call it shipyard traffic, and it's heading south Highway 3 through Gorst at about 2:30, 3 o'clock every day till about 5:30, and it's predictable and it's steady, and you know if you're headed in that direction you're gonna get stuck in it. Really no surprises there. That's kind of the one and only big traffic thing we have going on. In Seattle, well, you have all the freeways. So you have like the I-5, which is the big interstate, goes all the way from Canada down to Mexico. And there's all the peripheral ones that get you, to and from all of the peripheral cities like Bellevue and Kirkland and Edmonds and all these other places that surround Seattle. So you can imagine with the hugely dense populace over there that you would be stuck in gridlock for a good amount of your commute, morning and afternoon. Really, it doesn't matter what time. There's just always traffic on I-5. If you're living in Bremerton and working in Seattle, we have two ferry options for you. There's the fast ferry, which is Kitsap Transit, so that's our locally ferry. And then we have Washington State Ferry, which leaves from Bremerton as well and goes to Seattle. So both of those leave Bremerton, go to Seattle. There's also the Southworth Ferry. So if you live in South Kitsap, Port Orchard, Olalla areas, the Southworth Ferry takes you from Southworth, which is Port Orchard, to West Seattle, so Fauntleroy. So it's a little bit different location for that ferry dock, but it still gets you over there. If you're on the north end of Kitsap, so if you're in Kingston or Bainbridge Island, Bainbridge Ferry will take you to Seattle. Kingston Ferry will take you to Edmonds, which is a little bit north of Seattle. And the commute times vary for all of these. They can be anywhere from 25 minutes on the fast ferry to 40 minutes on the Southworth to Fauntleroy Ferry, or about 50 minutes from Bremerton to Seattle on the State Ferry. And an hour on the ferry sure beats an hour stuck in gridlock on the freeway any day of the week. If you are a big sports fan, then Seattle has this one hands down. It has all of the major leagues, sans basketball, of course. We never replaced the 76ers when they left us. So we have the Seahawks, we have the Seattle Sounders, our soccer team, and we have our newest addition, which is our hockey team, the Kraken. So the good news is that where the Sounders and the Seahawks play at Lumen Field, and where the Mariners play at T-Mobile Park, They're both within walking distance of the ferry. So if you're over here on the Kitsap side, you can just take the ferry, hop off at the terminal in Seattle and walk to the game. It's 10 minutes. And there's a lot of restaurants and bars and things along the way. And those are all playing the games too. So if you just wanted to like stop into a bar and watch the game on one of their TVs instead of going to the actual live game, then you could do that too. Climate Pledge Arena is where the Kraken plays, and it's about a 15-minute drive from the ferry. Bremerton used to have sports teams. We used to have the Kitsap Blue Jackets. They moved to Port Angeles, so they're up north out there in Clallam County now. And we used to have the Kitsap Pumas, which is the soccer team. I should mention the Blue Jackets was our minor league baseball team. The Kitsap Pumas was our minor league soccer team, and they actually disbanded in 2017 due to lack of attendance, which equates to lack of funding. So if you want to go to a live sports game around here in Bremerton or Kitsap County, you're probably looking at like a high school game. So high school football is really big around here. And then of course we have basketball and lots of other sports going on. So if you wanted to catch one of those events, those are definitely open to the public for the most part as well. What about walkability? How's the walkability compared in Bremerton versus Seattle? So living in a big city, Seattle obviously has a great public transit system, and everything is really kind of right there. So if you're living in the city, you probably don't need a car at all. I know people who've moved to the city who sell their car because why pay for a car and the expensive gas and the registration to keep up when everything is within, a 2-mile radius? You just walk and then get your steps in and get some exercise while you're at it. Bremerton, on the other hand, there are a few localized areas that are highly walkable, like downtown Bremerton, downtown Port Orchard, downtown Poulsbo, most of Silverdale, because it's just geographically really small. But for the most part, you're going to be really car dependent no matter where you are. We also have a public transit system, and it's just buses. And so the bus will take you to and from all over. And of course, those are also like the Ubers and the Lyfts and the stuff like that. Both areas, Seattle and Bremerton, are going to be highly bikeable as well. So if you have a bicycle and you like to ride that around, you're going to be sharing the road with vehicles, because in the last video I just did, you'll learn that we don't have a lot of designated bike lanes here, but definitely tons of bike commuters. So just be prepared, be cautious, share the road with the cars as well. What about noise? Is Bremerton better than Seattle in terms of noise? So you would think, living in a big city in Seattle, it's going to be noisy. You're probably right. I mean, all the noises that come with that, right? So if you are coming from a large city or grew up in a large city, then you're totally used to the hustle and bustle. And that you probably don't even hear it. I know friends who moved from the city to a quieter location, and they actually couldn't sleep for a few days because they were used to the noise and they had to have some background noise to get to sleep. On the other hand, over here in Bremerton, we're fairly quiet most of the time. I mean, we don't have the big city hustle and bustle. We don't have a big noisy plethora of vehicle activity on a big wide 5-lane freeway all the time. We do have a couple of events that go on at some of the Navy bases sometimes. And by events, I mean like disposal of ordnance or some drills or crane activity. And sometimes those can be a little bit noisy in the surrounding areas. But if it's a planned event, they're really good about educating the community on when these are taking place. So you know when to expect the noise, or you know when to expect the disturbance. But overall, it's very quiet, fairly peaceful. So if that's the vibe you're looking for, then Bremerton wins that one. If you prefer the noise and the hustle and bustle of Seattle in the city, then Seattle's got that one hands down too. So then it really comes down to your personal preference. Do you like the vibe of the big city? Do you like being able to walk out of your shopfront apartment and go down the road for coffee, grab a bus to your place of employment, or go see a show, or go see a sporting event, or go to the orchestra, or go to Pike's Place Market, or any one of those just within walking distance? If that's your vibe, then Seattle wins. If you are more of a small town feel, and you like the country feel, and you like the quiet, and you like the rural, and you like to get out of the noisy hustle and bustle of the city, then Bremerton wins. So it really just comes down to your subjective opinion. I personally love Bremerton. I like visiting Seattle, but I don't think I'd ever want to live there. I'm not a big city person. So I love it over here. It's not too remote. It's not too rural, but it's got just enough going on that it makes it the best of both worlds. So if you like that video, give me a thumbs up. tap that little bell so you're subscribed and notified every time I drop a new video. Call me, text me, email me, let me know how I can support your relocation to Bremerton, and share this one with a friend. Bye for now.